Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 800, written by Stars and Figs. There was an unknown man in our Selfie. This happened when I was still in high school, around 15 years ago. It was summer break and I was visiting my grandma. I went to visit one of my friends who lived in the apartment above my grandma's. We were messing around on her computer, eating snacks and just hanging out in her room. No alcohol or drugs were involved. We decided to take selfies, as teens do. She took out her flip phone. Flip phones were still a thing back then. They didn't really have filters. This was a flip phone with a crappy camera. I can't remember the make or brand. We snapped a few selfies, but couldn't get one we liked, so kept deleting them and taking more. Now bear in mind, we were in her room alone. There was nobody else in that room. Then, at one point, we took a selfie and there was a very clear image of a person behind us on the selfie. But the person was not like a creepy silhouette or orb or ghostly figure. The best way I can describe it is, it was like a separate photo of an unknown person was superimposed onto our selfie. This person had dark hair and a beard and was smiling widely. He was wearing a suit. He was clear as day in our image. As you can imagine, we freaked the hell out. I told her to delete it. She did. It genuinely looked like a glitch of some sort, because the image was so clear. Still, to this day, I think of this sometimes. It is the only time in my life I've had an experience that I just can't explain away. Case notes for file 800. An unknown man in our selfie. So, you don't report feeling any different. There's no feeling or presence of a chill in the air, or something that sends your hair on back of your neck standing up. We have a very strong attuned sense when things are slightly off, and most of us are able to detect when there's an entity nearby, at least if they're making their presence known, which, if they took a selfie, would be known. So, maybe this isn't an entity. Maybe somehow your camera was capturing information from the past. This man was just in the room in the distant past, and the selfie picked up that information. Now, how it was transmitted through time, I don't know. It's actually conceivable that through a wormhole it could do so, because wormholes as we know them, Einstein-Rosen bridges, are very unstable, transmitting mass, but energy might be able to funnel through, and that could explain a lot of things that are going on when we're talking about information that people shouldn't have. Maybe it's just moving through space-time, through all these random small wormholes that are emerging that we can't detect. They're very, very, very small, but energy doesn't really care about that as long as it's within the boundary of the EM spectrum. But I'll say, that's one powerful phone. Case file number 801, written by AltBallDeep. When you disconnect from time. I was driving to work at around 6:45 a.m. The sun wasn't up yet, but it was glowing behind the mountains. Traffic was heavy that morning, and I was cursing at myself for not leaving a little bit earlier. I had snoozed my alarm twice, since I felt a bit tired from going to bed late the night before. One important note, I was wide awake when this happened, so it can't be chalked up to hallucinations or being sleepy. Also, no history of medication, drugs, or anything else that would alter my mental state. Alright, on to the glitch. The road I was on had a section of trees ahead, where it curved and turned twice. I made sure to keep my distance from the car ahead of me, since people often didn't brake for the first turn until they were right on top of it. Anyway, I looked down at the clock to see what time it was. I stared down at it for a second, because the clock was off by 2 whole hours. It said it was 4:50 in the morning. Oh well, just something wrong with the clock, I thought. I'd need to fix it later. But when my eyes came back up to the road, I noticed it was pitch black outside. The sun was no longer glowing behind the mountains. Damn near looked like midnight out on that rural highway. I looked around in utter confusion. The vehicles ahead of me were gone now, nowhere to be seen. I came up to the turn in the road, swung around it and the upcoming bend, and got clear of the tree line. Still no sign of the sun or traffic. I was bewildered. I'd be out way too early for work now. So I glanced down at the clock again, and what do you know? The time had changed, 6:55. I again spent a good second eyeballing the clock in total shock. Because of this, I had to hit my brakes to avoid a collision with the vehicle in front of me, the same one I had been following earlier. The sun had returned as well, glowing behind the mountains. I had been thinking about it all morning at work. What the hell happened? Did I glitch back in time 2 whole hours, and then zip back? Case file number 802, written by Casey Harrison. She was an officer. I know it. The house next to me is a family of 3. A dad, a mom, and their son Tyler, who's friends with my sister. Well, every day since I've lived next to them, I see the mom in a cop uniform getting into our squad car and leaving because it's usually the same time I get home from work. Yesterday, my sister, who has also seen the mom cop many times, told me Tyler said his mom has never been a cop, but his dad is. I know for a fact the person wearing the cop uniform and getting into the car was his mom because he's posted pictures of them together before with mom in the caption, and it's the same woman. Today, after work, I saw his father wearing the uniform and got into the car. I've never seen him wearing a uniform or driving that car before. I know I'm not crazy or remembering wrong because my sister saw it too. It's damn spooky. I saw the mom today. I asked her if she was a police officer and she said no, her husband is, and she's an accountant. I told her I swear me and my sister both saw her several times in uniform driving that car. She looked at me like I was insane and I just said, sorry, must be confused, and went back inside. I'm even more freaked out now. Case notes for file 802. I know she was an officer. So this one is funny, but I read a comment in the thread mentioning that maybe she has a side gig as an escort and she was dressing up as a cop for that job. Early morning escorting is, it's reminding me of the episode with Danny DeVito in Friends, putting on a show. Probably need to rewatch Friends. It's about that time of the year. I do love fall. What's everyone's favorite season, by the way? Fall and winter are mine. I love cool weather. Case file number 803, written by Kucher. Thanks for returning my brush, universe. Okay, this happened quite a few years ago. I was over 18, not under the influence of anything, wasn't tired, etc. I had been living across the country and had just moved back to my hometown. I was going to rent a room from a couple, but they ended up being creepy and inappropriate. To give me time to figure out where I was going to live, I stayed with family friends. It was fall, and they wanted to take me to do something fun. So we went to this place called Apple Hill. It's a few hours away from where we live. We stayed overnight at a hotel. I had brought a gold set of MAC makeup brushes my aunt had given me. When we got back home, I realized I couldn't find one of the brushes. I checked my bag and the floor of the truck we drove in super well. I assumed it must have fallen out of the truck somehow rolled away in the hotel room, even though we looked under the bed when we left, something my paranoid mom taught me to do. I was bummed out but moved on. Fast forward 8 months. At that time, I had moved back east because I couldn't find anywhere to stay after the weird roommate situation, and I couldn't stay with our family friends long term. Then I found a good roommate and moved back again. The reason I mention all this is because I did not find my makeup brush at the time. Keep in mind, my makeup bag was very small and I would have seen it. I had just moved into my new apartment. I was 20 and hadn't acquired many things yet. I had zero furniture, like not even a bed frame yet. My room literally just had a mattress. So one afternoon I was laying on the floor on my stomach, just messing around on my laptop, looking at social media, Pinterest, etc. I got up at some point to go to the bathroom, and when I stood up, I saw the missing makeup brush just lying there in the spot I had been laying. I was shocked and felt insane. It was not there when I laid down. My floor was spotless, so there was nothing it could have been hiding in or under. I wasn't wearing anything with pockets that it could have fallen out of. I also didn't feel a lump or anything underneath me when I was laying there. There are zero possible explanations. Anyway, such a weird and random glitch happened. It drives me nuts to think that I'll probably never understand how or why it happened.